And we are live. Olá, bom dia a todos. Muito obrigado por terem acordado cedo num sábado. Não sei como é a agenda de vocês. O vovô Vedovas aqui sempre acorda cedo, está sempre disposto de manhã, então tudo certo. Então, muito obrigado. Vejo que já temos aí 20 pessoas na live. Muito legal ter vocês por aqui. E hoje com uma presença especial e internacional com a nossa querida Regina, e eu não vou me atrever a pronunciar o sobrenome dela, e eu tenho certeza que ela poderá. Ela entende português, porque ela sabe exatamente do que eu estou falando agora, e ela vai se apresentar, e eu tenho certeza que ela vai pronunciar o próprio sobrenome para vocês, para que a gente possa, né, pensar nela e nos referirmos a ela da forma correta. So, yeah, good morning or good afternoon to you, Regina.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. Bom dia. I
Bom
do
dia.
understand a little bit. I do not speak very well, although I try to speak, but not today. Maybe some next time. That would be great.
Okay.
But I understood some of the things. So yeah, my name is Regina. Very happy to be here. It's afternoon here in Munich, and yeah, very happy to see all of you because it's very early morning, right? For Saturday, it's 9 a.m. It's pretty early, I would say.
Especially for the youngsters that usually enjoy Friday nights, like the happy
Yeah.
hour and then the after hours. So
Mm.
yeah, but I believe people is very eager to improve the career and to think more about the future, and that's why you are here today, because I understand you have lots of contents and lots of opportunities for the people. So take some time to present yourself and take as much time as you need.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So my name is Regina, and my last name is Ishmukhametova. That's a hard one. That's easier to read, I think, than to hear. I am the owner and co-founder. Co-founder. Wait, I'm the single founder of Conexão, and it is a recruiting company. We help to recruit people for companies across Europe and the US. So we have both remote and relocation positions. And yeah, that's it. I come myself from tech. I used to be a QA, a Scrum Master, then Agile coach, and then I just decided to hire all those amazing people for the companies I know. That's how it all started. We've been working for 2 years already, so that's yeah. I think around February we really started to work already. We have a small team of people, and we also have a lot of social media where you can yeah learn more things about how to pass all the recruitment process, prepare for the interviews, how to change your CV, and all the questions related to that. And today, Fabio was kind enough to invite me to talk about the opportunities of IT world in Europe in 2023 with a lot of big questions that we have, right? So we have quite interesting topics that we will address today and
Mhm.
some light of hope, I think, at the end, or maybe even in the middle. Feel free to
Oh,
interrupt me with any questions, anything. So that would be great. I do not remember. Yeah. Anything else I wanted to say? I think that would be it for now. And if Abe, you can start with some question.
of course, yes. And just to finish the family name subject. So I believe it's safe to assume that you come from Russia, right?
I do. I was born and raised there, and then 10 years ago, I moved to Europe. First to Sweden, and then to Germany. And yeah, here I am right now. And that's not the full list, I think, and I hope. So maybe in a couple of years, I would also be visiting some other countries for a longer stay, let's say.
Is Brazil in your list?
I would not say no to Brazil. You know, you never say no, although it is a very cool country. I've been there once. I would love to come again. The people are amazing and the weather is awesome. Again,
Mhm.
as Fabio said, depending on the season, might be a bit too hot. But yeah, so
Yes.
Brazil is very interesting and as the market as well. And there's a lot of IT. and IT professionals. So this is our biggest market for the candidates, which is pretty cool, to be honest.
And this is a very interesting fact because
Mm.
I understand. Sorry about that. I understand you you are used to work, especially with Brazilian professionals. And how did you start working with Brazilians?
Yeah, yeah, it is a very interesting story. So that started um, with me first. I think we worked first more with Russian and Ukrainian and all those markets because there are also a lot of IT professionals and they also speak English, so that was easier to to interest them in relocation. But then at some point, I think I somehow found a Brazilian candidate that was interested in relocating to Sweden, and then I just started to have a look in this market, and then I realized that the market is just gigantic because there's so many IT professionals. They're all good, and they
Mhm,
have, I think, two qualities that can differentiate them from others. They work a lot. They work a lot, and this is a very American feature, I think, right? So this is like you work until you're done, right? You don't
yep.
just work until the
Hmm.
6 p.m. And the second one, I think the most important is the soft skills or people skills. I think Brazilians are exactly so you have this in their ability to communicate. It's not everyone. It's not everyone.
Hmm.
You probably know some of the stereotypical Russians or how they're portrayed in media or in movies. It is
Hmm.
true. Quite often it is true, right? So the tech skills might be very good, but the social skills are not always. I'm not trying to categorize everyone, but like what we had experienced, it was like, okay, so sometimes the people skill are a bit lacking. And with Brazilians, that was not an issue at all. I think we never met any candidate that was disrespectful in any way or didn't show motivation or anything. And it's very cool, actually. People might sometimes not be very confident in their English skills, but they still try to compensate with being super positive. And
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things. Yes.
And this is a very good tip, and without openly saying it, because you just told that people are not always confident in their English skills, but they compensate with other things they have to offer. And this is something that the companies outside of Brazil, they like it very much. And I've seen it firsthand when I was living in Germany. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, and there is another thing that I would like to add to your list, that Brazilians are creative. Like there is not a problem that is big enough for a Brazilian professional. Like they go to the bottom of the matter, and they do not rest until it's fixed. And I've seen this, and it's beautiful to see. So yeah, pretty cool. And do you believe that the companies you work with, they have the
Mhm.
same vision as you do about Brazilian professionals?
I would say yes. So positivity is one of the things that can make it or break it if you're choosing in between the candidates, right? So if you have similar tech skills and similar years of experience, and that, but the one person is super into it, everyone already likes them. Everyone on the, let's say, on the team meeting or team tech interview, everyone already likes them, and another person is not there yet, or at least they did not show their motivation. So of course you will pick this one, right? The one that is a bit more positive, a bit more enthusiastic and whatnot. So that is surely one of the things that is, yeah, that is very attractive for the companies. We have relocated, so since we started, I think during last year, we relocated already, I don't know, 10 people maybe, for just one
Mhm.
company, or maybe less than 10 people, but it's quite a lot, and it's amazing. And it's also, yeah, it's great. It's great. I think also quite a lot of people, maybe in other countries, let's say in other European countries, they are already a little bit spoiled in terms of compensation, right?
Okay.
So they already know that they can get this much, and then they don't want to relocate to this exact country because they already feel comfortable in their own country. And in Brazil, I think it's a bit easier to negotiate those questions, because people are, and I'm not saying that companies do that on purpose, that they purposefully lower down the salary. No, I don't think it's possible, even because of the laws, right? There's very strict regulations in Europe, so you cannot just lower a person's salary just because. But I think it's easier to incentivize people to move, because it comes in with the package, right? It's already, oh, that's interesting, that's Europe. Quite a lot of people heard that it's quite safe, quite good social security, right? So a lot of things are for free for kids, for example. So there's like this package. And then it's also my job to talk to people and to explain to them, like, oh, okay, the salary might be not as big, but this is for free and this is for free, and the kids will have free medical care, and you will be paid for each kid that you have, and your, let's say, spouse, like husband or wife, they will also get a free medical care in the country, and even free, like for example in Sweden, you can get free language courses, you can learn Swedish for
Mhm.
free. And that's amazing, because if you count all those things, that would be a pretty big amount, right? So the total compensation that is also compensated not by the company but by the country is quite great.
Mhm.
So that is
Very
very
good.
good. Hmm.
A lot of good reasons to move.
Yes.
Very good, very good. And usually, like you are the very first contact a candidate will
Hmm.
have with the company. And what are your specialties, or what is your role in this first conversation? Is it, for instance, to have a sense if the candidate is a good fit, if the candidate has enough English skills? Tell us more about what you do when you start talking to a candidate.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I think mostly I approach people on LinkedIn, just for people to know as well. So I guess some people came from LinkedIn as well, I hope. And then we do assess them on multiple things. It is, of course, language. So English, like how they communicate and how they feel, how confident they feel in English. Although that is a tip as well, I usually try to help as much as I can. So after the interview, we even sometimes can give a feedback, like, oh, if you have an English teacher already, a tutor or courses, maybe you can train this and this and this, just to feel more comfortable in the next level. So we are the ones that are helping as well. For me to check the motivation of a person, if a person actually is um, it's called sanity check, so that is the resume of a person, that is the person, and this matches, so the
Mhm.
person actually tells the truth. I did not go too deep because I'm not technically skilled HR, so I won't be asking you questions about Android or front end. And I know a lot of recruiters do that. I just did not feel the need of that, because I won't understand the answers too deep, so
Yeah.
I prefer not to. But what we do sense and what we do check is the people skill, and just if a person is reliable. So if we feel that a person is reliable, then their resume tells the truth, right? So that is
Mhm.
actually pretty easy. And yeah, we help them to feel more safe in this environment, because some of them are doing it for the first time, or maybe their family is not fully agreeing for that. It can be very complicated, especially when you have a family. And
Yes.
then yes, exactly, so we're there to explain to them, like, oh, this is going to take this many weeks or months sometimes, right? And then these are the process stages that you're going to have, and we're going to be here with you all the time. This is the presentation that you can use as tips and tricks, so we do a lot of things to actually help as well. But we also check for the company, like, oh, okay, is this the companies usually have this culture fit or something? It is usually just a pretty normal standard thing, so a person should be able to communicate and
Yes.
able to collaborate as well. So to with different things and enjoying these things like collaboration and communication, working together, friendly, those things, enthusiastic, very important to show that. And then we can talk about tips and tricks on how to exactly show that. And yeah, those are the things. So we're checking for the company later on some later stages when it's already getting to the offer. Let's say we're doing some background, not background check, I would say reference check. So we just ask
Yep.
from the people, yeah, those things. So yeah, this is, and then we just guide a person through the process entirely. More than that, that is my personal policy because I am an expat myself. And I wish there was someone 10 years ago that would help me. So we usually, when the person is getting an offer, we usually have a consultation. Me and this person and maybe a recruiter, and then we sit for 1 full hour and we answer any question they have. Usually we ask them to ask their family, to talk with their family, and then to bring their questions. Sometimes they sit with their families. And then we
Mm-hmm.
just talk all together because it's a very important decision for the entire family, right? And
Yeah.
then that's how it is, right? So we're there to support them 100%. If it's, let's say, Germany and Sweden, we can go even further, and then we sometimes help them find an apartment or something else, to do something. So we have a recruiter, Alona, she's there watching, I think. And then she was on multiple occasions meeting people on the train station when they would arrive, something very cute that she would do just to, to feel them, to make them feel welcome. So that is one of the things that we do. But this is just personally we're doing as our own initiative. No one is paying us for those services. We're just doing that because we feel that this is a good thing to
Wow, it's a VIP service indeed.
do.
Very good. And this sets you ahead of competition, I am sure,
Mm,
because people will be very grateful because you and your team are going this extra mile to help accommodate in a very very anxious period. Because I remember first getting to Germany and all alone. Of course, I've had
mm,
friends there, but I was alone most of the time. So yeah, it's pretty harsh. Very
mm,
good, very good. And there is it's also something else that people talk a little about, that are the costs, the financial costs involved in moving to another country. So people usually think, oh, I've got the contract, I'm going. No, it's not as simple as that. Yeah, uh, uh, you have to invest a little bit of money so you can start with the right foot. So that's also something very important to mention. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
A lot of companies actually cover those costs, but some don't cover. And then we also try to help as much as we can because in Germany, as you probably know, there's this tax return thing. So whenever you move, you can return quite a lot of this money that you spend on the tickets, on if you use any assistance to find your first apartment or some other things, the costs that are involved. Yeah, so that might be very good to know as well. We also try to point where it is. I also, Alona, I know you're listening, and I will re-listen that again. So we'll just try to gather all the things I talk about, and maybe we just make a list of links as well. Maybe somewhere under the live later. That would be great.
yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
we can share with the audience, and of course, I can include any link that you feel it's useful. I can include in the description, so it will remain there for the whole eternity for people to take advantage of those tips and links.
Mm,
Very good. So let's change a little bit the
mhm.
subject. Let's talk about the positions you usually offer, and are you specialized in a certain area, for instance, fintechs, or you usually have open positions in several industries? Tell us more about that.
every industry possible, I think, from fintech to browser companies to crypto. If someone is interested, we have those as well. They're actually pretty interesting because they are still hiring.
Oh,
One of the few industries. We'll talk about that a bit later, but they are still
yes.
hiring, and that's interesting because they are also a bit better with remote jobs than other
Mhm.
companies. They, let's say, those that already established themselves a bit before pandemics. Quite a lot of them still want people to come back, right? So they want to relocate people, and they want to, for you to sometimes at least once or twice a week to come to the office, which I know is sometimes maybe not too comfortable for people. We're actually contacting a lot of Brazilians, and they say, "Precision sounds amazing. I really love it. Can it be remote?" And we're like, "No, that's a relocation to Europe." And yeah, I think we lost like eight. We were losing 8 out of 10 people on that already. Yeah.
And
So
this
yes.
is
Mhm.
something interesting because up 5 years ago, most of professionals here they were all willing to move out of Brazil, but then the pandemic hits, and now a
Mhm.
lot of them, like I believe the majority, they are not willing to move out of Brazil because uh, people started to realize they can make the same money as they if they were moving to Europe or the United States, but living in Brazil close to the family and friends
Mhm.
and all the places they like. So yeah, that's a challenge for you
It
and your
is.
teams. Yeah.
It is. So it is way easier to find and close the position that is remote, especially for the US, because the time zone, everything is really perfect for that, right? So there's like little difference. We sometimes find people from Brazil that would work for European companies. That is a bit tougher though, because the Brazilians, right? They will need to wake up at 5 a.m. to start the day, right? Because you will still need to have some type of a stand up or a meeting or something. So that is a bit of
Yeah.
a tough thing. And I know a couple of people that actually are doing that for the Swedish company. I really respect them for that. But yeah, that is absolutely true. So people are much more aware of their options now,
Yeah.
and that is not that easy to to attract them with something if they were not attracted to it before. So some people still want to maybe go abroad and live a little bit for some time, in Europe. So those are still interested, and
Yeah.
this is our main audience, of course, main target. But quite a lot of people already feeling comfortable. They already have a family, like their new family, let's say their spouse, and their family, like parents, because they also want to take care. That is also very cool, because I see very strong connections with parents and grandparents and everyone. So that is also cool in Brazilian culture. And yeah, and then I think that is very good for senior positions and
Mhm.
seniors, especially if you're senior developer. Then you can get a lot of options, and then you can pick in between. If you're middle or junior, especially junior, that is a bit tough to start working remotely for someone, because usually, if the company, especially US, wants to invest money in hiring someone remote, they need a full senior professional that would be working autonomously, that knows what they're doing, that is self-driven, and that has a very good self-discipline.
Mhm.
Usually, again, judging by the CV, those things are happening. Like those things are usually, yeah, happening with when the person is a senior developer. So
Okay.
that is a very, yeah, to hire a junior is a little bit tough. So we're targeting junior, or let's say middle developers. I'm saying development engineers that are like, let's say, 2 to 4 years, that have 2 to 4 years of experience. They are more willing to relocate to Europe, because then it is their chance as well. So maybe they also are a little bit younger, usually statistically, not always.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that these are the things happening. So I think for senior people, not people, right? So for senior professionals, it is a bit easier. especially after pandemic and during pandemic, to find a job. And for juniors, it's a bit harder. Especially, I feel very sorry for people that are just starting the career and they are interns, and they just had some courses. Although I think it is easier to find a job in your country than to find a job abroad. Like, again, from our experience, it is possible
Mhm.
though. I actually wanted to ask you, do you have any courses for the beginners or not? Or you just have those already for professionals?
You mean my own courses?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they are all focused on people that are working in the field already.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything yet, although I have some plans for the future, because I believe that the people that are willing to get into our industry, they don't have many options provided by real professionals, like people that uh, is are working in the industry for a long time, especially people that worked abroad and now are back or still abroad, but willing to teach and pass along all the experience. So no, I don't have, but I have plans. Uh, can we answer a couple of questions here?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So this is the first one. I believe you partially answered this, but if you have anything else to add, then Leandro will be very happy about it.
So, are there remote vacancies? If not, how long does it take for the process to move to Europe? Yes, there. So for now we did not have any remote positions, but again, this is just the beginning of the year. I think we will also later address the layoffs and everything that is happening around that.
Yeah, the
So
elephant in the room.
exactly, we're coming to that, Leandro.
Yeah.
And for now, we did not have those positions, but they might be coming anytime this year. Very much depends on the market and how the market and the companies will react to those layoffs. If the everything will go a little bit up or a little bit down, and yeah, on those micro and microeconomical things. But for now, we did not have the process to move to Europe. It's a great question. I already wrote a bit of an article, but I will share the article with you and my thoughts. At least 2-3 months. This is the minimum that we have, and this is just the interview process. Usually,
Yeah.
European companies are very slow. They are known for that. That is something that it also very much depends if you're doing that closer to the summer, and then June, like let's say July and August are out because people are on vacation. And
Yeah.
then if you're doing it in the second part of the year, then it's December and then it's Christmas and everyone is again on vacation. So that is a bit tough. So usually what we have is 2-3 months, the minimum amount, just the interview process. Sometimes I think average it can take 3 to 5 months. And if you are hitting for the big companies like tech giants, Google and Netflix and Amazon and those, it might take well over half a year. Well over half a year. So I know a person that's been in the interview process for like 12 months. So
Oh,
just
that's tough.
yes. Just plan accordingly. And the thing is, the higher your role, the more complicated that will be. Because if it's an engineer position, it might be a bit easier. But if you're a manager or a manager's manager, it depending on the level of your management, that might take quite a while. Might take quite a while.
Hmm.
So, and then there's this little thing that is called the visa process. It really depends on how your like how Brazilian embassy, right? So how the let's say Swedish or German embassy in Brazil, or consulate, I don't remember who does it, works in your country. Because, for example, for countries like Russia and some other countries in the area that were affected quite a lot with the conflict, they have at least 6 months of the visa process. So some companies even say, "Oh, for now we're not targeting this group because we cannot wait this long because the process will take this much time, and then plus 6 or more months, and then it's another year." So that is something that you need to take into consideration when you do that.
Okay, and I would like to add something on top of what you said about European companies being slow in the hiring process because they take their time, but they are also slow with the day-to-day work. So you don't have much pressure. So that's
Mhm,
that's the good side of this slowliness, yeah.
mhm,
Because it's very different from American companies. They are always in a rush, always pushing for good results in a
mhm.
timely manner, and Europeans they are way more relaxed because they are always looking forward to summertime. So yeah, and but
Exactly.
despite of that, they have great results, and Europe is a big player in the web development or software development in general. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We have another
Mhm.
one here. Uh, do you know about backend developer with Java uh, opportunity?
Marcus, come if you are in my connections, please come back to me later. I for now I we do not have any opening, but again, as I said, it might change in 2 to 3 months because a lot of companies. I don't know if you are familiar. Fabio, you definitely are familiar. So the companies usually when they close a year and then they start a new budget for the new year, they take entire months to plan for this budget. So now is beginning of February and now they only start to open up the positions, the head count for the year. Sometimes it takes 3 weeks, so it can still happen in January, so you can have open positions, but do not worry if you do not see them in January. So a lot of positions will open in February. I would say statistically again, so where February, March is the hardest, not hardest time for us, but the coolest part of the year for you guys to apply. That would be cool. So do not have a very long answer to your question, Marcus, but do not have a position now. Might be having soon. So yeah, let's stay in contact.
Very good. And now I have my own question for you because
Mhm,
he asked about a technology, Java.
mhm,
And this YouTube channel, Vedo Valley channel, is
mhm.
specialized in JavaScript, TypeScript, and the whole JavaScript ecosystem. So are you also uh, specialized, or the companies you usually represent are willing to hire more JavaScript, TypeScript professionals, or they are open to other tools like Laravel with PHP, Rails, Ruby on Rails, and Java, and .NET, and so on.
Uh, s- well, good question. So I would say Java, JavaScript are very popular, very popular. So
Okay,
front end and the back end. So Java, Go. Where again, I'm slightly biased because we're also hiring quite a lot of people for cryptocurrency
I
for
told
crypto
you.
startups. Yes, so that is there. JavaScript for sure. Like front enders are very much needed. I would say PHP might be a little bit more complicated, but there are still companies that do that. And yeah, Ruby on Rails. We personally, I don't think we ever had it, but it exists, and I know it is there. It is just not as popular, I would say. And
Okay,
of course,
okay,
mobile are very popular for sure. But Java, JavaScript, DevOps. Oh my God! If there's any DevOps, you can easily do it because a lot of companies are needing some good DevOps. Surprisingly, there is now a change DevOps with some coding skills. So if there's any combination of that, hit me on LinkedIn. We'll talk later.
very
I'm
good.
sure.
So
Mhm,
it's a very good hint because if you are a developer and you are
mhm,
growing tired of coding all the time, but you still like it, you can shift
mhm,
a little bit your career by becoming a DevOps or SRE, and you
mhm.
will keep your coding skills because they will be useful, but you will have something different to do and with lots of opportunities. Very good. I
And
have
the
something.
salaries are also very good for this position, for exactly this
Oh,
position.
this is something good to hear. Yeah,
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
music to our ears. Very good. We will get into salaries very, very soon. Let me just say something to the audience. If you asked a question and the question was not answered yet, don't worry. I am just sorting them out to fit in the subject we are dealing with at the moment. But at the end of this live, all your questions will be answered. Okay. So yeah, we started now to talk about salaries, and let me see if we have a question. We've had a very good question related to salary here. Just a moment. Mhm. Okay. Here it is, from Clayton. A difference in salary for remote positions, and where is it necessary to relocate to the company's country? So yeah, do you know anything about that?
So there are some tendencies that started during the pandemics. Very good question, Clayton. I might talk for this for quite a long time, so cut me short if you feel like it. But I will try
Okay.
to be a bit more concise. So there, before I think the salaries to relocate, on average, again depending country per country, were maybe a bit higher, maybe. But the thing is that when the pandemic happened and people in Europe felt free. For example, people in Germany, like a company in Germany, felt free to hire anyone in European Union or even outside of European Union. So can you imagine you would pay the European salary to a person that lives, for example, in Egypt or Turkey or Russia or somewhere else, and that is completely different money market, right? So that is like really high. So I think, and Brazil as well. um, I think even 2 years ago, when we would offer an amount to a Brazilian developer for them to relocate to Sweden, there was way more positive response. And now it feels like a lot of people are finding some remote positions with the US or with other countries, and then they're already getting the same amount. So for them, it's quite often, I quite often have this conversation when they say, well, that's a very good proposition and all, Sweden sounds great, but I am already getting the same money. Why do I
Mhm.
need to relocate? So, and there is this question of, okay, the money market, so the salary range now for a developer is anything from, if it's, let's say, for any company that is in Europe or US, from 2,000 to 10,000 easy. We're talking euros, right? Like easy per month. And then it's really hard to, to navigate in this world as well. And of course everyone wants the bigger the better. But some people also think, okay, so if I relocate to Sweden, I will have this and that. Maybe my salary will be a bit smaller, but then I can compensate with some things, with some other things. For example, it's really easy to travel inside European Union. You can go to the Alps, in the winter, and then you can go to the Mallorca somewhere, like to Greece islands, to Canary Islands in the summer in July. Or you can, for example, your kid or kids can go to a very cool European universities that are, and then there's like a little bit different paths for them, and then they can do, yeah, they can study, they can do some things. Or you care about some different things. If there is only money, because for example, if you live in Brazil and you're enjoying everything, you have your family, you have your life figured out, maybe there is no reason to move to another country, right? So that is a
Mhm.
bit complicated. And the answer is, I do not know, because that is really a roulette in a way, right? Like a Russian roulette. So you can get a high salary, you can get a lower salary. I know companies that relocate people to Sweden, and then they pay 4,000 euros per month before taxes, right? We're talking before taxes. And there are some companies that are remote and they offer 8,000 euros. And can you imagine? So in Sweden, you even pay more taxes, and then you live in Brazil and you can hypothetically earn 8,000 euros, so which
Mhm.
is completely different money, right? So, and then your taxes are less, probably. I don't know. And
Yeah.
then there's this whole thing of, yeah, of you can get better, you can get a good salary. But I think it's also a very good bridge to another topic, right? To layoffs, because currently with the layoffs and everything that is happening this year and used to happen last year as well, because layoffs are continuous for like some time, there are a lot of very good professionals now on the market. So the salary
Mhm.
negotiations will be way harder. So whatever numbers I told you right now, they might be not relevant in half a year, right? So you said, oh, but originally you said 8K, I can get 8,000 euros per month. But now probably because there are a lot of demand on the market, you cannot maybe get as high of a salary because, yeah, that's just how it is. Especially it is true for juniors, probably that it will be a bit
Yeah.
harder. Yeah, so that is a very interesting question. It is just an unknown thing. You need to still keep looking for companies that hire for more. If you're willing to do the risk, or it is considered to be a bit risky to go to crypto or blockchain related companies, there they might pay more, but they can
Mhm.
also go bankrupt. So that is just for you to know that that might just finish quite soon. Yeah, some of
Okay.
them, not all of
And
them.
I have something. I have to something to add because uh, salaries and compensation in general for us Brazilian is a very sensitive topic because we grew up listening to our elderly ones talking to us about how hard life is here in Brazil, and we
Mhm,
know that money means safety. The more you have, the safer you will be. Yeah, because that's the reality of our country. So we tend to look for higher salaries and kind of get blind to everything else that the company is offering or the country is offering. And
mhm,
my experience is that uh, the people from Brazil that were willing to move to another country that is safer, that is
mhm,
easier to get around, and as you mentioned, like you can go to the Alps and you can go to Spanish beaches and so on. They started with smaller salaries, but because they were willing to move to a place that living there is easier, and now they
mhm,
have both. They have the great place to live, and they have the big salary because they are there long enough to improve the compensation area of life.
mhm,
So yeah, my advice is don't look too much for a bigger payment. Look
mhm,
for everything, the whole package that you are getting
mhm,
when you get a position in a country outside of Brazil. Of course, all countries
mhm,
are outside of Brazil, but
mhm.
that's yeah. So yeah, you started to talk about layoffs, and this is the
Yeah.
elephant in the room. So let's deal with the elephant now. Uh, what is your vision for 2023 when it comes to companies starting to hire again?
Mhm,
Because that's the whole point of our getting together here. Yeah,
mhm,
discuss
mhm,
future opportunities for Brazilian developers. How do you see it
mhm.
happen?
Yeah, so first of all, wanted to say yes, the layoffs are happening. There are a lot of them, right? So we're hearing those news with all the big guns as well. So the Meta and Amazon and Google did the layoffs. But there's also one important thing. I do not know, yeah, if you also check those news, but let's say Google, for example, because I have quite some examples there. When Google announced layoffs, it was a couple of weeks ago, and then the people in the US were laid off immediately. They woke up 2 a.m., 3 a.m. They got those emails on their personal email address, right? Everything was blocked. They couldn't do anything, and those people included everyone, right? So there were people on parental leave, pregnant workers, right? So there were a bit of a mess there, I would say. But in Europe, the process did not even start yet. The thing is that European laws are very strong and they protect workers, anyone that works, very strong, everyone actually, everyone that lives in Europe, they protect them, especially working people with the working councils and unions and everything. For example, in France, Google layoffs are not possible. They decided not to do them because not the government, but the unions are so strong. It is by law just not allowed. So what they're going to do in France, in the Google, they're going just to offer a volunteer layoffs. So please, people, if you want to voluntarily leave the company, you might do it now. So of course that is probably not that everyone will be doing, right? So in Germany, the process, the working council announced that the process will take weeks, if not months. So it's been 2-3 weeks ago, and they still did not do anything. They are just gathering some information, and then everyone is very protected, especially if you have a family, especially if you have kids, especially if you're pregnant, especially if you're on parental leave. And there's so many categories of people that are super secure. They cannot leave at all, so there are even talks about, maybe in Germany they will also not do layoffs because it's just complicated. So let's just wait. I think we need to wait 2 to 3 months, and then the picture will be a bit more clear. So the companies are really protected, especially in France, actually, but also in other countries as well. So it cannot just happen today for you. And then a lot of times you can also sue the company if you feel that something was not done properly, and then the working council and the union will protect you as much as they can as well. So that is not as easy. Even if you're being fired in Europe, you still get quite a big way for that to be fired, right? So you need to enter this personal improvement plan that is usually for several months, and then you're offered a compensation, or you offer some type of a deal, so you would please leave the company, And then if you feel that it was not done correctly, you can sue your company, and they will have to hire you back and never fire you again. So there are a lot of things that you can be free about. And the thing is that you said absolutely very correct thing about if you move to Europe and then you have this, you can start low, but then you can grow, right? And especially if you have a European passport, because you're also covered by the government. You will get some compensation. You will get some money paid back. I guess a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, when pandemic started, I used to work in a company called Free Now. It is sort of like an Uber, but a European Uber. And then we had a thing that is called Kurzarbeit, or it's called short working day. The company had to put us on this short working day. But the thing is that government compensated quite a lot. And in fact, I think I worked 4 days a week, and I was paid almost all my salary because the government would compensate a lot. So that was quite good, actually, even because, pandemics, you have some time to adjust and everything. And then you had 3 weekends, basically. So 3 days where you didn't work. So those are the things just to know, for people to know and not to be afraid. The companies are doing layoffs, and the thing is that some of the companies like Wayfair, they even did the second round of layoffs, which is really not too good for the reputation of the company, I think, because then it's just not too good. It doesn't look too good. And so for now, no one knows, right? We need to wait a little bit and see how the market reacts to everything, and if we are going to get better. But the thing is that all those companies I talked about, they overhired during the pandemics because they thought, wow, everything looks so optimistic. Remember when at the beginning of pandemics, all the markets went down, and then they started to grow like crazy. So if you bought in this dip, now you're a millionaire, sort of. And then the companies did the same. They overhired people. So if you even check Google, they hired so many more people than 12,000 that they announced to lay off, right? So I don't remember, but there was like 2 times more or 3 times more that they hired during those years because they just overhired, right? So they just needed to shed a layer basically. So that also would happen. Maybe now the companies would be a bit more mindful on the way how they hire. So that is also one of the things. It might be not that easy to find a position or to negotiate the salary that was a bit bigger or something. So the salaries might, I would say they will stagnate for some time, so they won't grow too much. So yeah, that will be definitely happening. But for the whole situation, we just need to wait a little bit, because our clients, most of them also did hiring freeze, so they're not hiring, or they're hiring only some roles. So that is, but again, nothing to panic. Maybe not
Hmm.
this 3 4 months of the year, right? I would personally, if I would be living in Brazil and wanted to relocate, I would wait until June, July to see how the market is going. Maybe even March, April, just to see, just to check, and then to see, okay, it feels like the market is now better, or it feels like the market is going down. It's also a lot of panic and hysteria in the media, right? Because we hear that all the time. And whenever I open my LinkedIn or Twitter, I see all those things popping out saying, oh, layoffs, layoffs. But we also need to be very mindful about those things, right? Not to overread those things, because they just affect your mindfulness, right? So you're just not as uh, peaceful as you were before. Just to wait a little bit, and then maybe that will be a bit better. They're still hiring. A lot of companies are still hiring. Again, I think it is quite safe to go, more or less, because again, as I said, it is very hard to do those layoffs and to actually make you go. So that might be a good decision. But maybe I would personally wait a little bit, maybe 3 to 6 months to see how it
Okay.
goes. But if you're a senior professional, especially senior, I think that is quite still, is quite in demand in general, and then you can find um, jobs. Juniors, they are a bit in a tough spot, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
Mhm.
I remember getting questions about junior positions, and my my answer to those questions are always the same. You have a chance to be hired as a junior or even a mid-level in Europe if you are living in Europe, because it's very hard for a company to invest time and money, and especially the risk of taking you and your family away from the place you were born in, and away from your relatives and friends, and
Mhm.
relocate you to Europe, and then realize uh, you are not a good fit for the company. So it's much easier to assess, or the risk is lower if you are hiring a senior professional
Mhm.
than if you are hiring a junior. So if you are really willing to relocate to Europe or any other country
Mhm.
for the same matter, and just you take the risk and you go there and you start looking for positions, and it works. I know two or three, maybe more, success cases of junior or mid-level developers that moved to the target country and started to talk to people, attending to meetups, and advertising themselves in person, and then they got hired and they are in a very good position nowadays.
That's great. I think you Brazilians are blessed because your passport, surprisingly, is very good, because you can go to Europe for 90 days with no visa, no nothing. Because me, as I came from Russia, right? It was impossible, impossible. And you can also go to Russia, not now, but in quite a lot of different countries where you are, yeah, you're just entering visa free, basically. That is amazing. I
Mhm.
think it's a great idea as well, what you're just
Yeah.
saying.
And I believe we just replied to an answer that was not included in our screen. But
Mhm.
if you have anything else to add about this topic of junior positions, just do it now, because I don't think we will be talking about junior positions again during this live.
We hired some, I would say, junior people that would have junior is pretty long term as well, right? So it can be half a year, it can be 2 years. We hired a couple of people with 2 years of experience to Sweden. I was just a great cultural fit, and it just happened. It just clicked, and then it was a developer, a front end developer, I think, actually. And then she would come with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend was a junior Java developer. And we just tell the company, like, hey, maybe you just check this couple and just take a couple deal, and then they took them. So that was a great thing. So we pushed a little bit, and the situation also was there. So it's not too common for recruiting companies like me to have junior roles as well, right? Because how it is, there are companies that have internal recruiters, and then they're allowed to take maybe juniors, and we're external recruiting companies, so we just work as a consultancy in a way, right? Or a sourcer of candidates, and we only have senior positions most of the times. We try to push for junior though, but it's
Mhm.
not really happening.
Very, very, very good. And now we are approaching our last topic, that is about tips to go to perform well in the very dreaded interview process. And I would like to start with a question from Guilherme. So you said with the layoffs, there will be great professionals on the market, which is true. And how to
Mhm.
become a more prepared professional? What actions could I do to increase my opportunities or my odds to be hired?
Very good question, Guilherme. Are you located in Brazil, or I'm assuming so, right? So I'll just give an answer as a person that wants to relocate. So a lot of things that you can do. I think to actually be enthusiastic and prepared for what the company has. So you need to really study the company where you want to potentially work, right? So what is the the tech stack? Everything that you can find about the tech stack. There's a little bit of, Sherlock Holmes thing that you can do on LinkedIn. So you can go to the company page, you can find some developers, let's say a front-end developer. Okay, study their CVs and see what their tech stack was there, right? So you definitely be sure you're adding that on your resume. And then if you have your personal projects, or if you are actually consuming any content, any education content, please mark it also. I think it's good idea to have like types of content I actually consume, and then everything that is professional related. That would be a great thing to do, I think. If you have ever done any lives or interviews, or you wrote articles, or you have a popular Twitter, you can say that I'm a content creator. I write about Twitter. I have 3,000 followers that follow me for, I don't know, some front end advice or something. If you write on Medium or on LinkedIn, anywhere you can write now. Maybe you have like a Telegram or WhatsApp community. So everything that you can put there of this type, I think would be quite yeah, quite
Okay,
benefiting you. Yeah, yeah.
I have something to add, because here
Mhm.
in Brazil we have drama every single day
Mhm.
in our community, and one of the subjects, drama subjects, were was about having a GitHub account profile full of projects, personal projects, or projects that you fork to study, or I don't know, just to have something to showcase your abilities. And of course,
Mhm.
people started crying because a lot of people in our industry here, they are just crybabies, and they feed on these things. But you were telling that this is indeed very important to have something to show. It doesn't even have to be code related, but it's study material, or if you took part in some chat about technology. So the companies, they are looking for those things in particular, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that here maybe some people also underestimate the luck factor, or like not the luck factor, but the visibility factor. For example, you are very popular. Then if I see someone on LinkedIn that is writing a lot of things, and then I see their articles or their posts, even if I'm not too deep into tech, right? But if I see that
Mhm.
they are doing that all the time, I will be interested. I will be interested. I might be writing to them. So that's a
Okay.
thing, right? And then the more connections you also establish, the better it is. For example, quite a lot of people also write on LinkedIn saying like, "Hey, I'm looking for a new job" or something. If, for example, you're now not having any job, right? Because maybe your current employer won't be too happy. But if you're having something like that, right? So you are in between the jobs, and then you can actually post on LinkedIn. I would also write to people that I know. I would write to Fabio and say, "Hey, can you repost or like my post so more people would see that?" And a lot of people are doing that, and a lot of people, especially, I think, I don't know how it is on GitHub. I'm not there much, but on LinkedIn, let's say the community is very helping. They're very eager to do something for other individuals. Like, for example, I can also repost. If you, any of you are writing something, I can also repost. You can just drop me a message saying like, "Hey, Regina, you promised. Can you do that for me? I'm looking for a job." That is totally doable. You can also write to recruiters directly of a company. Let's say there is a cool company in, I don't know, Spotify in Sweden, and you're like, "Wow, that's so cool," and then you might engage with their content as well. That is a bit of a different skill set, right? So I'm not talking about the CV, but let's say if we're talking that, oh, there are other good professionals there, and I am a good professional. So just to differentiate you from the crowd, that might help. Just try it out. Try it out. I think that will actually benefit. Yeah.
Cool. And there are two things that I personally do in
Mm-hmm.
all or did because I'm not looking for a job at the moment. But there are two things that I did in the past in all hiring process that I took part in. That is first, improve my ability to tell my own story. Because if I cannot tell my own story as a professional, then my chances are uh, significantly lower to get hired. So
Mm-hmm.
before you start an interview process, just train, ask a friend, or just talk to the mirror or talk to your camera, and then listen to you talking to, speaking about your career, and then make improvements. Because when you are face to face with a recruiter or someone from the company you are willing to join, then it will flow naturally. So you have to be able to talk about your story. And the second point is you have to take notes about your achievements as a professional. Like,
Mm-hmm.
companies are very well interested in know how you brought value to the team, to the company, to the product. So yeah, and if you get asked that question and if you don't know how to tell your achievements, then you are out. Most of the times you are out, and you will not get another chance in that particular process. So
Mm-hmm.
those are my 10 cents in this subject.
Yeah. And let's say if you're listing too many technologies, and then if you're asked about those technologies, you say, "Oof, actually, it was 2 companies ago and I really didn't touch it." And then that's really bad as well. So you need to, if you're listing technologies, especially the first, let's say, five, you need to be able again to tell a story, what exactly you did using that, and what result it did for the company. That would be like one of the best also things. So, and as Fabio said, the first story is really, really important, because a lot of people just start talking about their family status or about how old they are. And I think those details are okay to say, but maybe you just shift to projects and how you studied all your life to come to the point that you're, willing to work for this company. I would also suggest you to use ChatGPT for things like that, because AI is quite trained on those little things. You can feed all the information saying like, "Hey, I'm a front-end developer, I want to work for this company, I am strong with this technologies. Can you now make a 2-minute presentation that would make a recruiter actually, admit me to the second stage?"
Cool.
So, yeah.
That's a great advice. Great advice.
Yeah, yeah.
So instead of taking your job, ChatGPT is helping you get a new one.
Exactly what I'm saying. It can save you
Yeah.
so much time as well. Yeah, with like
Hmm.
those little things. So there are also
Yeah.
other AI related things where you can just run your CV and then it can improve it. So
Yeah.
also.
This is
Mm-hmm.
not a question. It's just another way to
Mm-hmm.
say what we just said, and I believe it's great. So yeah, thank you, Tulio. It's exactly that, storytelling, and storytelling is important for your life, not only when you are in the process of getting another job, but for your life. Like people that tell great stories, they are the people look at them in a very positive way. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
super cool. And I believe we are getting to our time limit for
Mm-hmm.
this session. It's been
Yeah.
great, and I would love to extend it to the whole day, but it's not possible. And if you have something else that you prepared, feel free to discuss. And when you are done, then we have 5 questions that they didn't fit in our program. And then when you are done, I would like to switch to those questions. Is it okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Sure,
Cool.
sure. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. It was great actually talking. I really love it, and I think I also forgot some of the things that I wanted to talk about, but naturally it will come later, so we will update it or have another session. And yeah, I just wanted to say that yesterday I got an idea actually to create a little newsletter for everyone that is interested in how to find a job, how to improve their personal skills, how to improve soft skills, how to actually also for the managers. There's also like a block for the managers to actually to improve your leadership skills. If you want that, please write to me on LinkedIn or whatever media we live there, or apply at conexão.io. So that is also my email. Just write it there and then I will include you in the email list. The newsletter will only come out next week, I think. So just feel free to do that. I already packed it with the tips and also some cool links where you can get even more information and yeah, increase your probability of getting either remote job or relocate to Europe.
Very
Yes.
good. And you are very, very active on LinkedIn. And I am
Very
very
active.
impressed because you post every single day.
Mhm.
So, and is it okay to people from our audience to get in touch or even request a connection with you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. I would love that. I would love that. I usually try to respond to people. It might take some time. LinkedIn also deletes some of the messages unread, but I try to respond to everyone. And if you write to me like, oh, about the newsletter, even that, I will try to fix it and we will try to do anything. If you want to send your CV already, do it. Do it. That is better for me to have some of the stack of CVs. Whenever the position will open, I will contact you. I think that will be the easier way. I will store them
Yep.
nicely on my computer. So yeah, that would be great.
Very, very good. And you have plans to also start posting on Twitter. Do you have your Twitter handle so people can follow you already?
Yes, it's just Regina Conexão, one word without a tilde. Yeah,
Okay,
just Regina
same
Conexão.
one word.
Yes.
Let me check this out because I am not following you.
I just started it like yesterday and did 3 tweets, got tired a little bit, but I'm definitely going to post more. I created a bunch of cool, those tweet storms with explanations on how to either get a job or get some, to improve the skills or something. So those will be the topics and some general
Okay,
wisdom.
well,
Yes.
very good. Okay, can we switch to those 5 questions,
Mhm.
unanswered
Yes.
questions? Okay, that's very good. So let me bring them up, and uh, I will show them in the order they were asked. Okay,
Mhm.
so the first one. from Rafael.
Also, question,
Yeah,
Rafael. Boa pergunta, right? So,
é
very
boa
good.
pergunta.
Digital nomad visa in Spain just was announced, and I saw the news. I really want to read by myself, so I will be doing some type of a review soon with all the links on LinkedIn. So watch that space for sure. But yes, they definitely started doing that. I do not know if you guys know Portugal also doing that, so you can move way faster and easier to Portugal. I know even some personal contacts of the lawyers that are helping. It's just a personal connections of mine. I can also recommend you there. And yes, Spain is doing that. Cannot say you anything else, but it should be something pretty cool, which I myself might be using soon. So that is that is
Okay.
just
Spain is a wonderful country, one of my favorite
it
because,
is.
well, Mallorca is simply it's out of this world. I don't
Yes.
have words to describe that place. All right.
Yes.
So next question from
Uh,
Alvina.
Yes. Do you think companies will eventually realize that many valuable professionals don't want to relocate, so they become more open for remote work for juniors? That is a good question. So, if it won't be ending with the word juniors, I would be saying yes. But juniors are just not as easy to onboard when it's a remote company. That is, I guess, one of the main problems, because I know a lot of people that during the pandemic they change from non-tech profession to tech profession, and that was hard to get a job because no one wants to manage a junior. Unfortunately, that is true. So a lot of companies, they switched to remote, but they didn't build the culture of helping the juniors to stay in the company. And then you basically need a full-time developer buddy, right? So that would be onboarding you on things. And usually they assign juniors to seniors, and seniors usually have a lot on their plates already. So there's
Yep.
this thing that goes on. Unfortunately, I would say I did not see that unless we see a rise of a company, like something completely new that will take juniors and will make everything super junior friendly, or remote friendly. That would be great, because I know a lot of great juniors, and a lot of people that are finishing some courses and everything, and they want to become developers or QAs or UX designers, but it's really hard. So no, unfortunately not
Yeah.
now.
I would like to chime in, and because I believe I am equipped to say a few words about it.
Mhm.
Because the definition of junior, mid-level, and senior, they they diverge between uh, areas of the world. So a mid-level
Mhm.
in Brazil might not be the same as a mid-level in Europe. And most of the times, people are thinking about time in the industry. Like, I have 1 or 2 years. Am I a junior? Am I a mid
Mhm.
level? Well, I know a guy that just started 1 year and he was hired as a senior. And
Mhm.
my advice to people is this: forget about time in the industry, because we are all different, you know,
Mhm.
and you have your way of studying and absorbing new information, and it's completely different from that guy that was hired as a senior with 1 year experience. So forget about this. It's the what matters is what you can bring to the table and what
Mhm.
you've done in the past. So you have to show up and do things, you know,
Mhm.
and you have to keep a very good track of the things you've done. And that is going to place you as a junior, as a mid level, or even a senior. Again, back to storytelling and keeping track of your accomplishments. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
forget about time. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's such a great advice. I actually also want to add on that. Before being in tech, I was not in tech. I was an English teacher for a very long time. So my career was English teacher, then QA, and then I started to do Scrum Master and Agile coach. So when I did the transition to being a Scrum Master and Agile coach, my teaching experience suddenly became relevant because I was coaching, and then it was interpersonal skills. So all those years, 5 or something, that I worked, they suddenly became very valuable And then I made a very good storytelling when I was getting a job, right? So then it all made sense, right? And then they would hire me. It was still not like it was a middle position, but there was not a junior position at least. And that was a very good example of how you can use this storytelling and how your previous experience also matters. Mhm.
Okay, very good. Let me give you another question. We have four more because
Mhm.
one just got in, and I believe that it's really important to address. It's
Mhm.
going to be our last questions. Last
Mhm.
question. This next, it's not the case of this next one,
Mhm.
of course.
Are there many of your opportunities? Very much depends. I think, at least for now, we talked about layoffs, right? Layoffs, also forgot to mention, in quite a lot of companies, they're trying to lay off everyone else, but not tech professionals, right? Not developers. It might be HR, marketing, and sometimes UX. So, from what I hear, sometimes, not too often, there's still a lot of positions of UX. You need to build a very good portfolio for that. Always have very good portfolio. Be watching all the popular opinions or all the designers that you really like, and try to build as much as possible so it is somewhere where everyone sees it. Then it is a good opportunity, and then you can find a job way easier.
Very good. And UX professionals are very, very necessary because
Mhm.
if you leave UX and UI in the hands of JavaScript developers, you will end up with something that works, but it's horrible. So, yeah, you are necessary. Okay, one related to front end and countries.
Where is better to take a front end position across Europe if you want to get a blue card? Netherlands or Austria suitable? So yes, Netherlands and Austria are suitable. It very much depends on you, because front ends are it. I don't think it depends very much on the front end or non or back end or anything. Blue card is just for professionals that have higher education. You need to have higher education for that, at least bachelor degree, if I'm not mistaken. So if you have that, if you have certain years of experience as well, then any country of your likings, right? So they can be Netherlands, Austria, it can be Germany. Also, please check Sweden, because from last year and this year, they're changing their policy a little bit about the visa process and everything. And they're introducing somewhat a blue card. I don't think it's exactly this unified blue card, but something similar. So please check those things. I think it also just depends on what country you like. Netherlands and Austria, I see them as quite similar countries. They're not too big. They're around 10 million people. They have cool capitals. Netherlands is just closer to the sea. And then it's not the nice sea like you have in Brazil. So it is a little bit of a colder sea, right? So the weather is a bit windier. It's just my preferences. And Austria is closer to Alps. So that
Oh,
is
yeah.
just
Austria has the mountains, and that changes everything. So
yeah.
yeah, pretty cool. Thank you. The last two questions.
Mhm.
Let me see. No, this high. No, not this one. I'm kind of lost here. Okay, one from Patrick.
For me as a game developer, entry level always gets very high on technical interview step on the process. I need to imagine. Um, sorry, I didn't get it. So a game developer entry level always gets very high, like high
The questions
requirements.
and the technical level of the interview. The bar is high.
Very good question, because I'm not a game developer, right? So for me, going this deep, I cannot answer you exactly, but I know if you're not against working for Candy Crush, I can, Patrick, recommend you to a company to a company where I worked. It's called King. The creator of Candy Crush, and I can maybe help you out. I think they need C++, but we can talk about it later. So yeah, that very much depends, right? So I can personally just try to help you, but I cannot help you with that. In general, if the technical interview is too hard for you, you need to study a lot, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you are being not too good of a student, Patrick, or you didn't do your homework well, but It is okay if you failed once or twice or three times or five times. When I was applying for my job, I think I got like 70 applications for my first QA job. I got one chance. It was the best chance. So that also is very much, it's okay. It's okay. Do not judge yourself for failing a couple of times. It is totally okay if you make the the work on your mistakes, and then if you can improve, right? And then if you can also one of the things about LinkedIn, right, or about other platforms, you can find people that work exactly in this company, in this game development, right, in this gaming company, and ask them, or at least check their stack or something. Maybe they will mentor you, maybe they will help you out. It is okay to reach out to people if you're genuinely interested and enthusiastic. Try to reach to several people, because some people don't even check their LinkedIn, or maybe they are not too sure if they want to reply. So check some people, maybe someone will help you out. That's my.
Very good. That's very good advice, and something I always tell people, like, rely on people. It's the
Mm,
best and easiest way to get something that you want or need. Like, people are willing to help other people. So yeah,
yes.
pretty. And now we've come to our very last questions, and this is also an elephant in the room, a smaller one, but
Mhm,
still an elephant. And this
mhm,
one, the person who asked the question asked also for me to translate afterwards, after your
mhm,
reply, because
mhm,
he doesn't understand much English. This
mhm,
is the
mhm.
question.
As essential to be fluent to get a job. Yes. So about that, I think we even talked with you, Louise. I think I even remember you. We talked about some position previously. So I know some people that moved to Europe and their English was not too good. So it is hypothetically possible. You do not, also fluency. Am I fluent? I don't know. Is like people that work with me, are they fluent? I don't know. So you need to at least, like, what's fluency, right? So it's super advanced language, or it's just ability to speak or to understand, right? So that is also this question. But the thing is that do not put too much of a high unrealistic expectation, like, oh, I have to, before applying, I have to become fluent in English. I think, and then people actually spend a year or 2 years or several years on getting there, but then the motivation also runs down, right? So you cannot just fully, do that and commit over several years to become fluent. I think that would be great if you can just do a very nice practical course. You can get a tutor, you can get courses, and just say, hey, I don't need grammar much. I don't need past perfect continuous or those phrasal verbs or something. I just need to say this and this and this. I need to explain those things. Can we have conversations? Can we actually make more dialogues? Or I don't want to do, reading the text and telling it back to you, right? Something like this. So those things, and I think that is the best method. And then you give yourself a strict deadline. You say, okay, if, let's say, if you knew a little bit of English, so I know, Louise, you know a little bit because you wrote that, so maybe 3 to 6 months. And then you put yourself a hard deadline. There's this Parkinson law that says the task is expanded until the deadline. So no matter when the deadline is, the task will be done during all this period. So if you put yourself those 6 months and say, okay, I'm going to do that, and then you just have to commit to that, right? And then you start applying, I would say, in parallel, and try to see maybe your English is already good enough. And then to also, if you do not have any English speakers or like friends or someone to talk to, just try to surround yourself with as much English as you can. Podcasts, YouTube videos, TikToks, maybe even, right? So you just change the settings on your phone, on your computer. It will be hard for now, right? But then in a week or two, your brain will already fully accommodate to that. So I would recommend to do a little bit of a cold bath situation. It will be shocking, but you can do that. So
And it
yeah,
gets easier. Yeah,
yeah,
it gets
it
easier
does.
in with time. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
I will switch to Portuguese and I will do my best to translate everything you said. And, ok. Então, Luiz, o que ela disse é, não existe, algumas pessoas conseguiram uma posição fora e até imigraram sem ter um inglês sequer bom, mas são raros os casos. E as pessoas têm essa ideia de que o inglês precisa ser perfeito, fluente, como se fosse um nativo, o que não é verdade. O inglês ele precisa ser bom o suficiente para que você compreenda o que precisa ser feito e que você possa é, é, fazer perguntas sobre a atividade que lhe foi proposta. Isso depois que você já foi contratado. Antes, durante o processo, você precisa ter um inglês suficiente para aquilo que você está buscando, ou seja, uma posição. Esqueça ter uma gramática perfeita, esqueça os phrasal verbs, que são muito difíceis, como, por exemplo, get down, come up, show up, come over. Esse tipo de coisa é uma coisa que você só aprende usando. Nenhum curso de inglês vai enfiar phrasal verbs na sua cabeça. E não são necessários para que você seja contratado. Mas se coloque um prazo para que você tenha esse mínimo necessário e que quando chegar nesse prazo, se sentindo preparado ou não, vai para cima, vai para as cabeças e entre no processo seletivo já com a confiança de que você tem o suficiente. No final, você pode até achar que não tem o inglês suficiente, mas você vai se surpreender que você vai conseguir chegar lá. E por experiência própria, eu posso afirmar que sim. And back to English, I believe it's time to start our goodbyes. So yeah, the microphone is yours again, and okay, go for it.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the comments and everything. That is just great. I really loved it. If you want to do something else, I would really appreciate that. If you guys enjoyed it, just talk to me on LinkedIn, write to like go to the website, just click follow and take like yeah, just write me a message. I would be glad. If you want to find a job with relocation or remote one, it is possible. Even with the layoffs happening, I think we're still looking on a very positive picture of the world. And I try to be very optimistic about those things. So yeah, I think you can find your dream job. And thank you, Fabio, so much. You're also helping people to do that, to find their dream job and improve their skills, which is really awesome.
Yeah, it's a big pleasure to me to have this kind of conversation because living in Europe was always the biggest dream in my life, and I've managed to do it. Yeah, it was a great period in which I've met amazing, outstanding people like yourself, and I like to help people to accomplish the same and to tell people it's not that hard. You have to commit, you have to do your homework, you have to be patient, but it's possible. It's possible. So yeah, we shall keep bringing this kind of content and helping each other, and well, we will do this again. Yeah.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, I thank you, and I thank you all the audience. And we this was my live streaming with the most steady audience ever. Like we are above 60 people all the time. So thank you for taking the time, people, to come here. And if you like this content, please, the live streaming will be available immediately after I finish. So start sharing like crazy. Like if you know someone that would benefit from this kind of content, share it. Tell the world about it. Okay, it helps us to keep coming back here and bringing this kind of content. So have a great weekend. Take care of yourself and just relax and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye.